Okay, friends, today we're working on a lot of different objectives. We're working on science objectives, we're working on library objectives, all around research. So we tried thinking of something fun for you guys to research, and we thought roller coasters would be pretty fun. And then we can tie that in with a makerspace starting next week, okay? Sound good? You excited? Yeah. Raise your hand if you like roller coasters. Yeah, I do too. Okay, but most of the time we just get on them and ride. So the reason we're doing research with the roller coasters is if I just give you a bunch of paper and say, okay, make a roller coaster, it's not going to be as good or as intentional as if you do some research and find out how they're made. Does that make sense? Okay, Miss Tippy also told me that you guys have already studied motion in science this year, correct? Okay, so do y'all know what kinetic energy is?
Yes.
What's kinetic energy? You have potential and you have kinetic energy, right? What's the difference between the two? So potential is where it's getting ready to have it, it's just kind of storing it up, and then kinetics when it's going, right? So on a roller coaster, can it change from one form to the other? Can it go back and forth? Okay, so that's one thing we're going to look at. That might be an area you want to do research in. So the ones that go with your TEKS are right here. So force, motion, and energy. It just says the student knows that energy occurs in many forms and can be observed in cycles, patterns, and systems. The student is expected to differentiate among forms of energy. So as you're designing your roller coaster, you're going to be labeling where the potential energy is and where the kinetic energy is. And if you don't know, it's okay, we can find out, right? We can do some research and find out. So when it says mechanical, sound, electrical, light, and thermal, we're really working on this mechanical part, okay? And then the next part is design a descriptive investigation to explore the effect of a force on an object. So is there a force with a roller coaster? What's the force? Does it have a motor? It could. Is there anything else it could have? Don't know. Okay, that's something else we can look at. What makes it move? What makes it go? Because it's not always a motor. I think I gave you 8 different articles on roller coasters. Only one of them has a motor. The rest of them are powered with something else. So it's something y'all might want to look into today too. Okay, so it might be a push-up or a pull. It might be gravity. It might be friction. Or it might be magnetism. And you're going to find out all about that today. Sound good? Okay, so my library goals for you. I want you to walk away knowing the different steps to the research process. Like, how do you go about doing research? And then I also want you to be able to find information on what you're researching. So, y'all ready? You excited? Okay, so go ahead, and we're going to open up our iPads. Go ahead and go to My Locker. I'm going to do it on my iPad too. You're good. Just look on with a friend. Good deal. We'll partner up today. Let me close all of mine. I opened them early this morning. They're so good. Okay, so you know to go to what? What do you do once you go to My Locker? Which one do you click on? I'll move out of the way so y'all can see. Paulette, yes, click on that one. There's a little music in here, Taylor, it's all right. What do you click on next? Spring Valley Elementary. Login. And then this is the most important, login. We're doing research. So our school buys a bunch of resources for you to use to research. If you don't log in, you will not have as many resources to look at. And then when this pops up, all you have to do is click this big blue banner, okay? And if you need me to go back and help you with this part, let me know. Need help? Okay. Don't forget to click login and then click that big blue ribbon that runs across. try to click this little part like we normally do to log into everything else, it doesn't work. You have to click this big blue banner at the top. I don't know why, but that's how it works. The guys up in the tech office set it up that way for us. I'm gonna log into mine. Okay, so you're logged in, so the first thing we're gonna do is go where? Where do you go up here? Where are you gonna go? Do y'all know? Okay, we're gonna go to catalog. That's the first thing. And that's where we're searching for books in our library, right? So what we wanna do is we wanna go all the way over here to Destiny Discover. Last week we talked about credible sources. Do y'all remember that a little bit? Okay, we talked about what sources are good sources and what sources are bad sources. Today we're going into databases. So these are things you can trust to find information in, okay? So this is PebbleGo. You do not have to click on this one. I'm going to show you something really fast about why we're not using PebbleGo. We bought PebbleGo last year for our young students, and then we bought PebbleGo Next for older students last year. And we started doing research with 4th and 5th grade and found out PebbleGo didn't have what they needed. So if I go to PebbleGo, I could click on all of these and it would take me to all different places and I would get kind of lost, right? Have you ever done that, got on the internet, and then you start going down all these little tunnels and you forget what you were even looking for? Has that happened? Happens a lot. So we're gonna click this search button. You're not gonna do this, I'm just gonna type it in. I'm gonna type in roller coaster and show you why this doesn't work. Look, do they have anything? No. If I go in and I type in energy, it has energy, but it only has a little bit of information. We're older, so it has kinds of energy, where energy changes form, how energy moves, and uses for energy. You already know all this stuff, right? Okay, so after about 2nd grade, PebbleGo doesn't have everything we need. So that's why we have to use the databases. And now you're researching exactly like you will be in middle school, even in high school, okay? Isn't that cool? So next year, when you go over to the middle school, you don't have to be scared, you're already gonna know this. So what we're gonna click on is this one right here, TextQuest. So click on that one on your iPad. If you're not there, raise your hand and I'll help you get there. Okay. Log in, that's why. Okay, so he didn't log in. This is a good example for everybody else. When he went into Destiny Discover, he wasn't logged in, so guess what's not there? All the databases aren't there. All he can see is ebooks. If you click the wrong school, like if you hit Spiegelville Elementary, they don't even have their databases on their Paulette catalog. She hasn't bookmarked it there. So if you go to the wrong school, you're also not going to be able to find stuff. Good job, buddy. That's all I ever have to say. Okay, now we want to log in. Click log in or it's not going to let you in. Click log in. Did y'all figure it out over here? Yeah. And then click the TextQuest. TextQuest is easy to remember because we live in where? Here. In Texas. So that's an easy way to remember it. Okay, so these are all of our resources that we have. One thing we can do to make it a little bit easier is if you start picking what you're looking for, our roller coasters, what subject are we working on with Miss Tippy? Y'all don't have Tippy, y'all have Canham, right? Does she teach science? So we're gonna click, I could click science and math and look what happens to my resources. Does it take some away? Yeah, so it's helping me by saying, hey, that one's not gonna help you. These are the ones you need to look at. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of these. Teaching books. This is where your teachers go a lot of times when you're reading a novel and they want to get resources for that. So that's usually where they go. So today, this one is not going to be a place you really want to spend a lot of time. Okay, so let's look at Britannica School Elementary. Just go ahead and click on that one. And before we get started, we need to know what we're looking for, right? So what could we search for? What would our topic be? Any ideas? Roller coasters. We could definitely write that down. I'm going to write that over here on this chart paper. Actually, maybe I should write it over here. Y'all can see better. going to put roller coasters. Okay. So if I go in and I type in roller coaster, the first thing I'm going to do, y'all can do this with me. I'm going to click on this big blue banner. So click on that. And then a little box opens up. This is where I have to type in Midway. That's our district. And then we get 3 choices for Midway. We want the middle one. We want the one in Woodway, because that's the one that's closest to us. The admin office is in Woodway. We live in Hewitt, but that's where the main office is. And then your password is LEARN, L-E-A-R-N. Got it? And then you can click Access Now. Okay, so we know our topic is roller coasters. But think, if I go in and I start searching for animals, am I going to find what I'm looking for?
No.
Why not? That's not your topic. So with your group, talk about some things you would want to know about roller coasters. What might you want to look up? Just talk to your group. I know it's early. Okay, did y'all come up with any topics? What do you want to know about roller coasters? What's going to help you when you start building a roller coaster?
How much energy do they
Okay, so you might look up the amount of energy. Anything else?
how they build it? How fast they make it go fast?
How fast they go. That's a good one.
When you go on the roller coaster before that it went.
How they're built. Okay, anything else? Okay, so as we start researching, we only have 3 things right now, right? As you start researching, is it okay if you think of more ideas? Yeah, that can happen. Can you change some of your ideas? Yes, you can. Y'all are not awake this morning. Okay, so we're all in this one resource. So we're going to look at some things you can do to help you, okay? There's some things I'm going to teach you today that I did not know until I was in college, like recently, to figure out, okay? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to click this search button, because if we start clicking down here, we're going to get lost. So click up here in the search. And what do you think we're going to type in? Roller coaster. So type in roller coaster. If you don't know how to spell it, you can look up here, because I'm not going to hit search until y'all are ready. Okay, let you type in roller coaster. Good. Oh yeah, for sure. There you go. You click search roller coaster. It's spelled right there. If you're done, you can click the next button to search. Or hit return on your iPad. COASTER. Hit enter or return on your iPad. Perfect. Okay, so let's look at some of the results we got. Oh, mine did not work. Let me try that again. No, it didn't like me. Y'all, my iPad just lost it.
I'm sure he's fine.
I'm sure. Look at what your things pulled up. Look at the different titles of the different articles and books and things that it pulled up, and see if you notice any that should not be there. Like, is there something that doesn't belong? You don't have to read the whole article. Just look at the titles and be like, does that really have to do with roller coasters? I'm reconnecting to the internet because it lost me. Alright, let me start over. Okay, guys, I think I'm caught up with you now, maybe. Okay, so let's look. Roller coaster ride, is that something we might look at?
Yeah.
That's on topic, right? Gold Reef City. They can go down at mine. Amusement park offers numerous adventure rides, including water rides and roller coasters. Looks good, right? So if I keep going, is that all I have? That's all the resources I have. So I can click on images, videos, and more. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on this very first one. And I'm gonna show you some tricks. Do y'all see this 1 and 2 up here? That doesn't mean first grade, second grade, but it does mean how hard it gets. So right now I have a little bit of information about roller coasters. Not a ton, but a little bit. And just like Pebble Go, if you hit this play button, it'll read it to you. But watch what happens when we go to level 2. When I go to level 2, I'm going to get a lot more information. Do y'all see that? That's what you're going to want today because the little bit of information isn't going to tell you how it moves. So go ahead and look at those. And they have little videos built in too that you can look at. And this one even has a level, let me pull this up a little bit higher so y'all can see, a level 3. So if you go to level 3, it's going to have even more information. Okay? And again, when you're reading nonfiction, do you have to read every word of this? No, because what are we looking for? We're looking for energy, how fast they are, how they're built. Those are our questions. So if there's a heading like origins in Europe, that may not be something I want to look at. I may want to scroll down until I find something that's more fitting to my title searches. Does that make sense? Okay, so y'all get how to use that? You have a question? Yes? What's that?
They use magnets
They do use magnets.
to make it start moving. Some of the roller coasters are built in this type of metal for the magnets to trap it. They start to keep moving.
Yeah. Okay, so the other thing we can do is we can go back to where we started and we can try some of the other ones, okay? So if I go over here to this ProQuest SIRS Discovery, let's try that one. Same thing. So if you want to go back, you have these little tabs at the top. Just click your tab to go back to where all the databases are. Because you can have more than one open at a time, okay? And mine's loading. I hope I don't lose internet. So I'm going to type in roller coaster on this one. And this one has a lot more information, right? But look what happens. This is what I want y'all to see. Helen Hunt. Do you think she has anything to do with roller coasters? Probably, maybe she made one. I don't know, but that doesn't seem very fitting. Gravity, do you feel it? That might. Roller coasters. Fathers and daughters dating roller coaster. Is dating roller coaster what we're looking for? No. One of the ones I was looking at last night had emotional roller coaster. We don't want emotions, right? We want roller coasters. So we're going to talk about how you're searching. First of all, I put those together. And you can. Roller coaster can be compound word. With some sites, if you search that way, you'll find stuff. Some sites, you have to separate it to find what you're looking for. The kid-friendly sites start to help you out with things you might look for. Are you looking for safety? Are you looking for speed? So that right there is helping me, right? But we're going to talk today about Boolean operators. Have you heard that? No. Never heard the word Boolean operators? It's called a Boolean. So think about Halloween, boo, and then lean. 2 separate parts. So say Boolean. Okay, this is going to be very, very helpful because some of you are probably going to come up with questions that even our databases won't have the answers to. Okay? When you do a Google search, it automatically does an and search. So we're going to talk about what that looks like really quick. Okay? Are y'all awake? No, not at all. Okay. So when I type in roller coaster, and see how this is 2 separate words? Do y'all see that? On Google, it's going to search roller as one thing and coaster. So that means, let me get a marker and see if I can explain this better. When you use the and Boolean operator, you have to capitalize all the letters in that word. Okay? So think about peanut butter and jelly, right? So if I do peanut butter and jelly, it's going to look for, here's my peanut, here's my jelly. If I use the word and, it's only going to look for information with both of those things. So when you type something into Google, did y'all know that was what's happening? That's what's happening. So you're actually, are you getting more sources or less? You're getting less sources. But on your databases, you can use Boolean operators too. And so like when I did roller coaster, I put roller coaster and I put quotations around it so that it kept those two words together. And then I put not. So not is another Boolean operator that we can talk about. I wish I had a dry erase marker up here. Let me go grab one. Grab my marker. So when I did it, I did roller coaster, not emotions. So what that looked like was this. Roller coaster. And then I did my big, I kept these two together. It's kind of like your math operations that you have to put together. You know what I'm talking about? But please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or whatever. So if I put not emotions, then everything it's going to pull up is about roller coasters. Nothing will be pulled up about emotions. Does that make sense? So that stuff about dating, the stuff about ADHD and all that stuff that it's pulling up that's trying to tie it to emotions, that won't be seen. Does that make sense? Okay, there's another way you can search. Do y'all know what it is? No. Okay. If I do roller coaster, we're only going to work on 3 Boolean operators today because I don't want to overwhelm you. If we do roller coaster, or, so remember how we said roller coaster, you could do it with a space in between the words, or together? I can use this or Boolean operator and put those words together. That way, no matter what article I'm looking for or what source I'm looking for, it's going to run both of those to see if it's there. Does that make sense? So that's a good tip to use even on Google, okay? Do you have any questions about that? No, isn't that cool? I think it's pretty cool. Okay. I laid my iPad over here. All right, are y'all ready to get started? Okay, so now you're gonna work with your group. So we already identified our topic. Our topic's roller coaster. You've already tried to figure out some things that you wanted to learn about roller coasters, right? Now you're gonna use those ideas to create a question that you're gonna try and find today. So work with your table group and decide what question y'all wanna try to find. What do you wanna learn more about with roller coasters? Good one. It's a good one. Any ideas? No ideas? Okay, so you have a folder at your desk, at your table. Pull out your manila folder. And maybe if we talk about what you're going to be doing, it'll help you. You have some packets like this that has your research information in it. Makes sense? You can still look. You have pencils at your tables. And you have different databases you can use, guys. So you have National Geographic Kids. I can type in roller coaster to that one. But be thinking about what question you want answered. Do you want to know what the tallest roller coaster is? Do you want to know what the fastest roller coaster is? Do you want to know where certain roller coasters are located? Because they're not just in the United States. Any ideas? So what are some of your questions? How do you build them? Okay. So go back to this one. So I could say roller coaster. And this one, which Boolean operator would I want? Would I want not, and, or for how they're built? And, because you want roller coaster and how they're built, right? Because she wants to narrow her choices. So we're going to say and. Hello. Here's how I do it. Built. Let's try it that way. So she's got one that popped up. The Twisted Story, record-breaking roller coasters. So she can look for those. If those don't have her answers, can she try another database? Yes? So you have 4 databases of which you can search and look for things, right? If you still can't get your answer, that means you have a really, really good question, which means I'll come help you find the answer, okay? So that means we probably will go to Google and use one of those reputable sources. So if you click science and math on the left-hand side, have you identified your question? You gotta have a question before you start searching. So your table needs to come up with a question. You have a question? So think about, I'm gonna help you a little bit. You're going to be building a roller coaster next week. What do you need to know before you start building it? How they're built, right? So how they're built, there's a lot of things that go into building them. There's steel, there's people, there's designs. So if Six Flags asked you to design a roller coaster, what would help you know what to do?
How to get them to work.
How to get them to work, okay? Would you need to know about the different types of roller coasters? Like the different turns that they might have? Because if I just say, okay, build a roller coaster, you might take it and do a slide where you just have one thing going straight down to the bottom. Because the goal is to go from a point up higher to a point down lower, right? But if you do that, is that going to be the best roller coaster? That might be super fun, but it's going to be over really, really fast, right? So do you need to know about the different aspects of the roller coaster? Or that I would think maybe the different types of roller coasters? So you could type that in. What would you type if you were searching that? Yeah, exactly, Carly. Types. So I could put roller coaster. You can still do yours, how they're built. So she's still gonna, their table's gonna look at that one. But if you don't have one, you can look at types and see what that pulls up. So this would be a good one. The goal of roller coaster designers, knock your socks off. Now this one, the future of food. Is that gonna help me? No. So you've got to go through these resources and see which ones would really help you figure it out. Does that make sense? So if you don't have a question, just knowing about the different types could help you. Knowing about the different turns could help you. And those are things that you can type in and search, okay? You have questions? Okay. If you need more resources to help you out, in your folder, you have a sheet that looks like this. This is information on all the different inversions, all the different turns and flips that they do. Because some of you I know are really, really visual and you need that picture to kind of help you start thinking and designing. Does that make sense? You also have resources about different types, like this. You have 8 of these at your table. And then next week, you have a video script planning page like this. Next week, you're going to fill this out on one roller coaster. So one roller coaster you research, you can start filling out this form about where it is, what kind of turns it has, and things like that. So that's really going to get you paying attention to what, like specifically one roller coaster. And then we'll green screen this with a roller coaster behind you and you telling about it. Okay? Make sense? What can I help you guys do? So we came up with our topic, we came up with things we can search. We still do that question, right? So on the back of your packet, write your group's question, like what you're trying to find the answer to. Yeah, you can write how they're built. What are y'all gonna write? What do you wanna know before you start building? So if I gave you a bunch of paper and said, make a roller coaster, what would your first question be? How? Like, how do I do this? What do you want me to do, right? So you could look at how they're built. Or you could look at maybe the design of them, like how they're designed. You can look at the pictures in here of different roller coasters. And that might give you an idea.
You write on the list.
Yes, you can write on these. These are yours.
Okay.
Absolutely, you can write.
Just for show.
If you need help or if you're having trouble coming up with a question, look at the different pictures of roller coasters that are on the resources in your folder and try searching one of those titles of that roller coaster to see if you can find information on it to answer your question. Do y'all have a question? What do you think? What do you want to know before you start building next week? Because we can't build till we get some of this done. So if I gave you a bunch of supplies right now, what would you want to know? Yeah, how do I do it? What do I do, right? To your group? Yeah, absolutely. Another great question could be like, what supports the roller coaster? Because if we just have a bunch of tubes and tunnels, what's going to make it stay up? Is that going to be important to know? Yeah. So what do you think? What do you want your question to be? Okay, the fastest roller coaster. So you might search roller coaster. And they're going to do a Boolean operator. You want to do and or but with that. Between that word and faster. Or fastest things. So like if roller coaster is this circle and fastest is this circle, do you want the stuff that's just in the middle? Only the fastest roller coasters? Yeah, so that would be the word. Exactly. So type that into your search and see if you can find it. What is y'all's research question? Okay, so right, roller coaster. Roller coaster. our roller coaster is built. Perfect. Good. Are you on the right step? Did you already find it? This one we're gonna do later. So right now you're just trying to find the answer to your question. Did y'all find a question? Yeah, you can just write the answer to your question on that. So what are y'all searching for? The tallest, we're gonna do roller coaster, obviously, is our first. Right there. Learn LEA. You gotta go to the instructions first. There. So roller coaster, you wanna pass this? Tallest. Okay, so what Boolean operator would you want to know, like, if this is roller coaster and this is tallest, would you wanna know just roller coaster information? Or tallest information? Or would you wanna know this section right here, which is the and? Do you want this or this, or do you want this? You want this part here to put roller coaster and tallest, right? So you're gonna use the Boolean operator. And then and, you wanna make it all capital letters. Cause you're telling me where it's from. All good? Did y'all find your answer? How they're built? Oh, don't worry about this front part. We're gonna do that in a minute. How they're built. Did y'all find how they're built? The roller coasters, and then our Boolean operator would be what? Built would be the second word. What would we want to know? There you go. Good job. And that's what you did. You already did that part. So that's going to tell you. So how they work. What's their origins. Design advances. There you go. That's how they're built. If you want it read to you, at the very top, you can hit the play button. Yes. Okay, so y'all have roller coaster and fast. Okay, so this database, we go to 3. finish next week, but on the back of your paper, can y'all write one thing you learned and one question you still have? So one thing you learned and one question you still have.
On the back of those papers?
Yep, just on the back of your paper. And the next week we'll work on the inside. Is anyone trying to grab it? Do you want me to charge it for the next 5 minutes? Okay. So go write down one thing you learned and then one thing you still want to know. That way we can help you find that
Still
next
want
week.
to know? Where in the world did they get steel? Where in the world did they take that paper for steel? That's where they get copper.
Good job, guys. So one thing you learned, one thing you still want to know. And then these folders, we're gonna keep all your stuff in these folders. So I've already put a little dot on it for your table color. And then next week, you'll get all this stuff back, okay? So you can slip your paper in there when you're done. On your way out, when you're gathering your things to line up, back here on this bookshelf is some examples of the roller coasters that kids have built. Does that make sense? Just to give you kind of an idea. But one of the things I really want y'all to start looking at next week is the types of turns in it. Because whenever you start building, you're gonna have options to do different turns, okay? And there's a lot of pictures on those bookshelves that have to do with terminology. So I think as you're reading, you're gonna come up with more questions because you're gonna wonder what some of these things are called. Because in your articles, they may call it inversions or basic elements, and you may not know what those are. Does that make sense? So we put pictures of those pieces on the edges of these bookshelves back here to help you, okay? Now good? Okay, you can line up. After you write your thing, you put it in your folder. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go home. Oh, take me, Jesus.
Hi, Michaela. Yeah. No, in here. It's okay. In there.
Where's my iPad?
Good job, guys. Y'all worked really hard today. Where's your iPad? I charged it. It's over there plugged in. Charging on the belt. Oh, sure, absolutely.
Oh,
Over there.